The top commander of the US-backed and Kurdish-led Syrian Democratic Forces warns a resurgent ISIS is starting to take advantage of the fall of President al-Assad. Alex Rossi is in northeast Syria.
Yeah, this is a top commander with the Syrian Democratic Forces. This is a coalition of forces which is predominantly made up from the YPG and YPJ, which is Kurdish forces, ideologically associated with an area known as Rojava, a majority Kurdish area. Now, the SDF were pivotal in the fight against Islamic State. Remember, that was the group that took huge swathes of Syria and Iraq, and it was only defeated in 2019. Now, General Abdi Mazloum has now told me that because of the chaotic situation in the country, with no single group having total control, there's a power vacuum, there's areas that they can move into, he is now, and his forces are now seeing a resurgent Islamic State, particularly in the desert areas around the Euphrates. And he is warning that if the international community takes its eye off the ball, that force, that ISIS force, could grow and become a very real threat indeed. This is what he had to say.
At the moment, joint operations against ISIS are halted. This is not a decision, but rather a military reality, as the coalition is also preoccupied with the ongoing conflict. Therefore, I stress that if these attacks persist, joint operations will remain suspended. ISIS is now stronger in the Syrian desert. Previously, they were in remote areas and hiding, but now they have greater freedom of movement. In the areas under our control, their activities have also increased. Just a few days ago, 3 members of the internal security forces were killed near al-Assad in an ISIS operation, and we know that plans for breaking out from detention centres is always on their agenda.
And the reason for the halt in those operations is because the Syrian Democratic Forces are now fighting, clashing in many areas with Turkish-backed groups, the Syrian National Army in particular, which is a worrying sign. He said those clashes, and clashes more generally if they escalate around the country, could descend into a full civil war. He is optimistic that this is an opportunity with the end of President Bashar al-Assad leaving the country for Moscow. But if this moment, if this opportunity isn't handled correctly, the consequences could be terrible.